Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Noach. Noah tells the story, of course, begins with the story of Noah and the story of the flood. We're in chapter 6, verse 11. Now the earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. Notice we have the word corrupt mentioned 3 times already, just in 2 verses. Actually, the Hebrew word here is vatishachet, or nishchata. The verb, the root of that word is shachat. And here it is translated as corrupt, and it is indeed what the meaning of these phrases are. The word shachat in this case is used to indicate corruption. We have people being corrupt, the land is corrupt, beings are corrupt. Verse 13, and God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come up before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Now, the word for destroy in Hebrew comes from the very same root, mashchit, shachat. So if you're reading this in Hebrew, essentially what you would be reading is God saw that the world was destroyed, or that the world had destroyed itself, that there was something destructive about the behavior of various beings on the earth, and therefore God is going to destroy the earth. We have another word here that is, the word in Hebrew is Hamas, and I have it translated as violence. Actually, though, Rashi, a classic Jewish commentator from the Middle Ages, translates the word Hamas as theft, not violence. And that really is the traditional Jewish explanation for this word Hamas. Anyway, we have these words coming again a bit later on, when God says once again, he is going to, in verse 17, and behold, even I do bring a deluge of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the spirit of life from under the heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall expire. Again, we have this repetition of the destruction that will come upon the earth. Many commentators have questioned what exactly was the problem. What were the terrible sins, or what was the state of society that was so terrible that God felt he wanted to destroy the entire world, with the exception of this one man, Noah, and his immediate family. When I mentioned that Hamas has been translated as theft, this is seen as the particular sin that sealed the deed. There was a lot of problems in society, but when God sees that theft itself is so rampant, it is on this sin that he has decided to destroy the world. On the other hand, the use of the word corruption, and if we tie that again, as I said, to the Hebrew word root of that word, which really talks about destruction, you have a sense of a society that is imploding, that is carrying on behaviors that are so corrupt, that are so perverse, shall we say, that they are destructing society from within. And indeed, many of the commentaries refer here to various sexual perversions that were a part of society, that in and itself destroys the normal order of society. And if we look at the verse in verse 12, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth, commentators talk about the fact that it's not just human beings that are corrupted and are perverse, but even in the animal kingdom there is a crossover between the various types of animals, as opposed to keeping each type of animal separate. There is sexual perversion, if you will, even within the animal kingdom. So basically what we have here is a description of a society which has become so perverse that it is destroying itself from within. When you have a situation like that, you would think that theft is minor. If you have a society that is so utterly corrupt on every level, that is actually destroying itself, why is theft something that has to be mentioned separately? And I think, though, that the moral message here is actually very powerful. In a way, sexual and moral perversions, society can destroy itself. But theft, when we talk about theft, we have people that are victimized. We have people that don't respect one another, and the boundaries between what is yours and what is mine, what about your fellow man needs to be respected, have been completely blurred. And perhaps it is when this is the case that God has to step in and punish and destroy. Now, of course, here we have such an overwhelming amount of theft that everybody is destroyed. So you have the sense that everybody is the victim, but probably everybody is the oppressor as well. Unless, of course, Noah being the righteous person, the righteous family here, perhaps they are the ones that are constantly being victimized and the rest of society are the oppressors. I think it's obvious a comparison between the sorts of sins that we see here during Noah's time and the kind of sins that we see later on with Lot and the people of Sodom. Now, of course, we know that there are sexual perversions going on in Sodom as well, but the commentators that talk about the sins of Sodom focus on, first of all, by the way, that verb, mashchit, is also all over the place. When God talks about He's going to destroy the place, this is in Genesis chapter 19, verse 13, for we will destroy this place because the cry concerning them is great before the face of the Eternal. The Eternal has sent us to destroy it. Here in this verse, we have a cry. We have a cry of injustice, a cry of the victim being heard, and God therefore sending the angels, sending His instruments of destruction to destroy the city of Sodom. And there are many commentaries that, talking about what exactly was happening in Sodom, mention how poorly guests were treated, they were actually tortured, how people that were kind were persecuted. And I think there's probably something very similar going on here in Noah. A society that is oppressing its fellow man is a society that cannot wait to self-destroy. God has to destroy because there is too much suffering and too much pain that man is inflicting upon his fellow man for that society to be able to exist. Shabbat Shalom from Samaria.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.